Hi everyone, it's Jeremy here. Today I'm going to be giving this Fluval Shaker tank a bit of a makeover. It's got plastic plants in it. It's quite a nice tank, it's just been a bit neglected. It's got some algae and the aquascape isn't great. So I thought what I'd do is I'd give it a bit of an overhaul. I'd swap some of the plants out. I'm still going to keep it with plastic plants because they're obviously very easy, zero maintenance. Then we can keep fish that eat plants, or just you know, people for a tank for people who want to just enjoy the fish as opposed to having to grow plants as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to strip it down. I'm going to show you how and why I'm doing what I do as I do it. Getting rid of the algae, vacuuming the substrate, changing the water, giving it a spring clean, and then replanting it, and let's see how we go. First thing first, lid off. I need maximum access. Next, I can just slide the light back, that's okay. I think I'm just going to take the plants out. Now, plastic plants can be cleaned just with a shower head or a pressure washer, or just vigorously in a bucket of water or under the tap. You can use an old toothbrush to clean it, or a scrubbing brush, and then they can go back in. But as I say, I'm going to change these out and put some new stuff in there. Next I'm going to remove the rocks. There was just some old slate in there. Again, easy to stack, inert, which means it doesn't affect the pH, but a bit boring, a bit uninspired, so I'm going to rescape that. Could use the same slate if I can make something look good with it, or I might change the rocks out, but again I'm just going to remove all the rocks for the big scrub. Now, to clean any tank you need 3 tools: a bucket, an algae pad, and a gravel vacuum. And these things are my essential kind of toolkit for any aquarium, freshwater or marine, cold water or tropical, because this is what I'm going to use to give it a scrub. So I'm just going to start on the front glass, starting from the top, left to right, pressing quite hard to remove any algae, especially in the corners on the silicone. The tank's quite tall, so it's going to be at the limit of what I can reach, but I'm going to try. Now, as you get near the gravel, make sure you don't get any gravel between the pad and the glass, so I constantly give it a bit of a shake each time. Make sure there's no gravel or grit, because that's going to scratch the glass. Next I'm going to do the sides. See, that's quite stubborn algae on there, so I could use a blade scraper on there if this doesn't come off, but I think it's going to come off. Just going to go around the sides. And the filter's actually going to help me by removing and trapping some of it. So you'll notice I'm keeping the filter running so that it sucks up some of that dirt for me, keeps it in the sponges, and then I can remove it when I clean the filter. So I'm just going to do the other side. Again, pushing quite hard on the glass, moving the gravel away. Flipping the pad over as well, that's a good tip. So if you're scrubbing here and you go in the gravel, flip it over and it's unlikely to have gravel from your last movement. So I'm just going to do as far as I can reach, and then to the back. Same again on the back. This is worth thinking about when you're actually selecting an aquarium. Can you reach the bottom? It's not essential, but it's quite important, especially if you want a super clean tank and you need to be cleaning it all the time. Can you reach? I can just about reach this one, but any more and I'd be on steps or I'd have wet armpits. So I'm just going to slide that heater out of the way, ensuring it's still under the water. So that's the algae wiping done. These are air stones and they've come loose. Air stones and air pumps, they're good for oxygenating the water, driving off CO2 and helping oxygen to diffuse. And it's good for fish, especially heavily stocked tanks. It's good for Malawi cichlid tanks, goldfish tanks, because they have a higher oxygen requirement. But as you can see, they've just become dislodged. So I'm going to keep the air stones, but I'm just going to turn the air pump off. And I've just checked to see that we've got some non-return valves there, because non-return valves will stop the water from back siphoning down the airline tubes and into the pump and damaging the pump. So I've just looked in the cabinet, there's 2 non-return valves, one on each airline. So I can remove those now completely, get them out of the way so that I can continue to clean the rest of the tank. Now for the heater's still on, so I'm going to switch the heater off next because I'm going to start removing the water and you don't want to expose the heater when it's on. So flip that, the heater's now off. That's going to take a few minutes to cool down, so I'm going to leave it in the water. The quickest way of cooling a heater is just to leave it where it is. The water will cool the element quicker than if you took it out and exposed it to the air. That's quite dangerous, it might crack. So I'm just going to leave it in there for a few minutes, carry on cleaning the bits I can't see around the pipes. This aquarium has pipework actually built into it. Normally you'd have either an internal canister filter or an external just with pipes over the back, but this one's got it built in. It's got a twin outlet, so I'm just scrubbing those pipes. Any algae I can see. There's a bit of lime scale on the light. This light unit is actually waterproof, so I can scrub this light unit, try and remove any bits of fish flake, any lime scale, anything like that, and the light won't be damaged by the water. I'm still keeping it above the tank obviously, but I'm just going to slide that out of the way. I could remove that totally if I wanted to. It's actually helping me see where the patches of algae are. So again, I'm just going round as I see algae, I'm scrubbing it, reaching down. Next is a really important piece of equipment, and that's a gravel siphon. So a gravel siphon is a siphon tube with a wider bore pipe on the bottom, and this one's got a bit of a fancy kind of even wider wide inlet. And basically you start a siphon. The old-fashioned way was to suck the pipe, but there could be bugs in the water, we don't want that, and so this one has a valve in it, and I'll show you how to get it going. So you place the whole thing under the water like so and hold the pipe, that pipe, down by the bucket, watch where the water's going, and you shake it. You shake it vigorously at an angle, and the valve has just started that siphon for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hover it over the gravel, pushing it into the gravel, and the dirt, you see that? The dirt is coming out of the gravel, up the pipe, into the bucket where I want it. So that's perfect. And what I do is I'll just go nice and methodically, front to back, a few seconds with each plunge into the gravel. And you can see that's removing all the dirt, dust, bits of debris really effectively. So this is going to take probably a few buckets, probably 5 to 10 minutes to vacuum the whole thing, but it's worth it. I recommend that you vacuum your tank once a week if you can as part of your partial water change. You'll always pull fish waste out, gravel, dust, dirt from the sand, and by regularly vacuuming the substrate you'll have a much healthier tank, less nitrate build-up, less nuisance algae, a healthier gravel, especially for fish like Corydorus and loaches that are sat on the bottom. You don't want a dirty substrate because that can give them infections. So that bucket's full, I'm just going to remove that, like so. I'll go and empty that in the sink. Now the water level's gone down a bit and the heater's had time to cool down, I'm going to turn the filter off as well. Like so. That's going to maintain its prime, so when I turn it back on, as long as there's enough water in the tank, that's just going to carry on. Back to vacuuming. Same again. Shake it. Algae wipe, gravel vac and partial water change done. Now let's go plant shopping. Okay, I've been shopping, I've been to get my swell plants, and I've also got just a piece of replica root, and I've done this because every tank really needs what they call hardscape, an ornament or a decoration. and the plants will accentuate that and make it stand out, and it will look more natural. I know these are artificial, but we can still use the lines of the laws of natural arrangement. Wood and plants just go together, even fake ones. So I'm going to start by putting this at 2/3 the way across this tank. And I chose this piece because it's tall, and the tall wood will accentuate the height of this tall tank. So I'm going to put it 2/3 like that, and it's also going to partially cover the heater and one of those pipes. So that's the first stage. Next you start with the tallest plants. Tallest plants at the back, medium-sized plants in the middle, shortest plants at the front. Always works. So let's put this one right at the back, like so. We tend not to go for symmetry, so we tend to have them at a rule of thirds again. So I'm going to put that one there. Again, helping to hide that filter pipe work. I have some red plants, and I've gone for 3 identical red plants. So I'm going to plant them in a group. Again, just think herbaceous border. This is a nice group, and again we're going to place them not in the middle because they catch the eye. We're going to place them at one side. So, and these are weighted, and you just bury the bases in the gravel like so. 3. And I've got this medium-sized one. I chose it as a bit of a space filler. I'm going to put it in the gap in that wood to make it look like it's grown out of it. Next I'm going to balance those sword-shaped plants at the back with a smaller version on the opposite side of the front. I'm going to go for this foreground one. Again, ferny, a bit spiky, a bit Amazon sword-like. This one's going to go here. That's our foreground plant. And lastly, this leafy one is going to go here to mirror the leafy ones on the other side and balance those red plants. And that is about it. Now we just need to fill it up. Every time we do a water change, we always use dechlorinator. There's no fish in there, you can dechlorinate the whole tank by filling the whole tank with tap water and then putting sufficient dechlorinator in to treat the whole volume, which in this case would be about 150 litres. Now I'm going to put some bacteria in. Obviously the water's been dechlorinated as I've gone. Beneficial bacteria is always good after you do a tank clean. I may have lost some bacteria. I didn't clean the filter this time, but I did clean the substrate. I did a 50% water change and I used tap water. So it's always good practice to add some beneficial bacteria, which I'm going to do now. So the last steps in my revamp, I'm just going to slide the heater down a little bit so we just can't see the label. It's just hidden behind the plants, like so. I'm going to slide the light forward. Now the question is what to do with these air stones, because they're on this blue airline and it's quite unsightly. I'm going to put it in for now. The suckers might have gone, so I might need new air stones. So I'm going to leave it overnight, and when I next come in I'm going to have a look at it, see if it stands out. If the blue airline is too much of a visual distraction, I'll change it for clear or black, and we'll see if these suckers hold because they feel a bit brittle. If you want to rejuvenile suckers, rubber suckers, on anything from an air stone to an internal filter, you can put them in warm water and it will make them a lot more supple. So I'm just going to put them back in to give the tank the air, even though there's not any fish in there. But we'll see how we do visually and whether I need to swap it or not. Okay, so I'm going to come back to those. I'm going to turn the heater back on and the filter and put the hood back on. And that is our revamped Fluval Shaker aquarium. That's a wrap for our Fluval Shaker aquarium revamp. Hope you like it. It's super simple, super easy to maintain. We're going to add some algae eaters next time as well. We won't have the light on too long so we won't get excess algae. And we're going to go through some fish. With such a tall aquarium, it's nice to have high-bodied fish, again to accentuate the height of the tank. So tiger barbs would be good, dwarf gourami, platies perhaps. This particular model is a bit too small for adult angelfish. Juveniles will be okay, but the next model up, the next size up, will be suitable for angels. And hopefully it's going to be an easy to keep, medium sized community of fish that's colourful and active at all levels. I'm done.